What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the latest episode, or one of the latest episodes, rather, of the R-Truth game show entitled Going Cat Crazy. So to be completely honest with you, until earlier this week, I completely forgot about the R-Truth game show that went up last week. So the new episodes are being uploaded to the network on Tuesdays, like first thing Tuesday mornings. There's been 2 new episodes in the past 2 weeks, one last week, and then one this past week. So I'm talking about this one today, and the next one from this past week should be going up on Sunday. Now, I know this Sunday, I think there's a new, Not Table for 3. There was a break it down to the Mick Foley last week. I don't remember exactly. Oh, it's a day of. It's a day of on the most recent pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks and I'm already forgetting what the show was. The horror show at Extreme Rules, to be exact. That's going up Sunday. I'll probably push that review until next Friday so I could put up the R-Truth game show one instead. That's going to be Miz and Mela Mania, which went up on Tuesday on the network, so some clarification there. But I've been thoroughly enjoying it so far. I wasn't sure if there were going to be more episodes after the first one, and I'm glad there have been between this one and the third one that went up this past week. So this one featured as the guests, they had Drew McIntyre and Natalya. And the commonality there, is that even a word, the similarity, whatever, between the two was that they both have cats. And Natalya is obviously very known for having cats. McIntyre has 2 cats as well. And The Miz has 2 cats, but he was on the next episode, as was Maurice. They all have pets. Carmella. Carmella, Miz, McIntyre, Natalya, they all have pets. So to start off here, this Going Cat Crazy episode, which is, that's why the episode is called that. We get a quick recap of the first episode that ended with 63 points for Alexa Bliss, and Sheamus in second with 56 points. Now, there's no real rhyme or reason here for any of the point systems. R-Truth will give out points for random reasons. He'll take away points for random reasons. Whatever he sees fit is really the rules of this game. So if you're keeping track while you're watching these shows thinking, oh, how did they get 10 points and how did they get 70 and 50 and 30, whatever, I have no idea. It's just a game show. Who cares? But anyway, so Natalya is the first guest up on this episode. They start off with some trivia, and she has to name all the Hart Foundation members, which she does. R-Truth asks, so how many states are there in Canada? And Natalya has to correct him, telling him there's no states in Canada, Truth. There's only provinces, like Toronto and Ontario and places like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I know there's no states, but I know there's like Quebec and stuff like that. I think Ontario is part of Toronto, but yeah, there's different provinces and not states. So for anyone who didn't know that, now you know. And that's not an R-Truth problem, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who also did not know that. But she also names the participants in the first ever Divas Tables match, which of course she was a part of back in 2010, at TLC 2010 to be specific, with herself, Beth. They teamed up against Lay Cools, Michelle McCool, and Layla. She also had to name her father's name as Jim Neidhart when he came back in 96 under a different persona. And I honestly had no idea this even existed. This character gimmick even existed. I'm not sure how long it lasted for, how prominent it was. I have never heard of this before. So I guess Jim Neidhart, her father, came back or was just simply repackaged in 1996 as a guy named Who? Literally WHO question mark. And he wore a mask with a question mark on the mask, I think, or on his tights, whatever. Again, I don't know how long the gimmick lasted for. If he had asked me that question, I would have no idea. I thought that was fascinating. You learn something new every day. She knew the answer to that. Honestly, though, I had no clue. So Truth then brings up that Natalya did not invite Truth to her most recent birthday party, because they show a clip from a Total Divas episode from years ago. And I remember watching this where Truth was at her house and he had shorter hair. So this must have been in like 2014, 2015, whatever, if not 2013. And he's jumping all over the counters because he's scared of cats. And he's like, oh, that's crap. Like, cut it out of the show. And of course they don't, because we see it here. They then play a game on that same subject called Show Me Your Cat. And she has to name all the different kinds of cats that Truth puts up on the screen, including Ernest the Cat Miller from WCW and Battle Cat, also from WCW. She shows off Two Paws, her current cat. I know she had a cat a couple of years ago that passed away, and I forgot what his name was, but Two Paws, I think she has a couple cats, but Two Paws is like the biggest star of the bunch, because I think he has his own Instagram account and stuff like that. Anyway, so she also discusses having her own YouTube channel with her sister Jenny, who has appeared on Total Divas before. And I guess I've never seen their channel before. I've seen clips of it on Twitter. I haven't seen a full-length video is what I should say. I forgot it existed, but she brought up how they try out new outfits and wrestling holds. I guess Jenny is more interested in wrestling than she initially thought she was, so she wants to give it a shot, and TJ, a.k.a. Tyson Kidd, has been helping train Jenny, I guess, which is cool. So anyway, then they do the scavenger hunt. So she shows off her home gym where TJ is, so we get a cameo from Tyson Kidd on this episode. We see her show off her favorite ring gear from WrestleMania this year and a Total Divas poster from many, many years ago. Probably from 2013, because it had all the original cast members on it. So she ends the episode with 65 points. And in return, R-Truth sends her a cupcake. But because they're doing the show over Zoom, she has to get the cupcake in an envelope. And Natalya tries to tell Truth, hey, that's probably not a good idea. I don't think you could send food like that, at least the cupcake anyway, in an envelope. And he says, oh, well, I'll send it regardless. So, anyway. The next guest they have on is, of course, the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. The first game they play is Truth drawing, for example, a tombstone that says RIP on it. And he has to guess what finisher is that. So I thought this was actually really clever. So we got that one right. I don't think he got the End of Days right. The End of Days was a bit confusing, but it was a calendar, and it was an X over the 31st of December. And you would think, oh, New Year's Eve, blah, blah, blah. It's the End of Days. I mean, that one's kind of a tough one, but he got the rest of them right, like Moonsault, moves like that, the Claymore kick, of course. There were actually some really good ones that Truth did. And they then show a clip of Drew McIntyre attacking R-Truth in Drew's debut on SmackDown back in 2009. Now, Drew did have a few matches, if not just at least maybe one or two matches on SmackDown, I think in 2007. But they pulled the plug on that real quick, and that was it for Drew on the main roster. He went back to FCW, came back in 2009. And so I like the way they handled the debut, where Truth was doing his, rap entrance, singing the What's Up song, whatever. And then as he was getting into the ring, McIntyre just ambushed him right on the ropes and beat the shit out of Truth. And we knew nothing about Drew at that point. He had not been formally introduced. He got the jobber entrance. And Drew said here, I never knew this, that apparently, according to him, unless he was joking, it was Shawn Michaels' idea. And Shawn said, hey, you know what? We've never had a jobber attack the established wrestler before during their entrance. So why not make an impact that way when Truth is doing his What's Up song on his way to the ring? And I'm thinking to myself, actually, that's a great idea. As he's saying that, I guess it was an idea from Shawn Michaels himself. So they then play a game called Mad Ribs, where they have to give an adjective and a hometown and whatever for ribs. So for adjectives, he says hot. For noun, he says Cecil or something. And the reason they do this is because Truth puts, it's like Mad Libs. It's like Mad Libs, but with ribs. So he ends up putting all the words together as a description for Drew McIntyre as Cold Sissel. That's his new wrestling name for this episode. And he has to cut a promo as Cold Sissel to R-Truth. And he actually does a very good job doing it, too. He then talks about the process of naming one of his cats Hunter, which got confusing at first because obviously he's used to calling Triple H Hunter. And then he shows off, I don't know if that one's name is Hunter, but he shows off a black cat that he has. And Truth goes, oh, that's a baby panther. And for some reason that made me laugh. So then they do the scavenger hunt with Drew. He shows off his WWE Championship. His wife says, not to the camera, but Drew says that I'm not going to show my wife just because if I did, she would kill me. But we hear her in the background. He shows off his favorite kilt. He shows off fan art from Rob Schamberger, among other people, which was cool. So he ends with 39 points, putting him in dead last. I don't know if he's above or below Little Jimmy and there was two other random people in the rankings. I'm not sure where that puts him, but I think he's in dead last, if not second to last. So he does not win this round. But R-Truth does tell Drew that he's going to send him some music, his own music, and then Truth wraps it off He does, the same rap that he did on the last episode where he raps over his theme song with thoughts on Drew and Natalya from this episode. So another very enjoyable edition of the R-Truth Game Show as seen on the WWE Network. This episode, of course, was called Going Cat Crazy, so check it out right now on the WWE Network, the R-Truth Game Show. So what I'm going to do is create a playlist for all my reviews of the R-Truth Game Show. I said last week, or the last time I reviewed this show 2 weeks ago, that I hadn't done it yet just because I wasn't sure if there were going to be more episodes, and thankfully there have been. So I'll go ahead and do that now. You can check out all my other reviews in that playlist. Granted, there's only 2 right now, but the third one's going to be added on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. I'm Graham Giuseppe Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.